Welcome back, everyone. Big surprise, James Gunn just formally announced Superman 2 will be titled Man of Tomorrow, and it's being released July 27th, 2027, just a little while before the Batman 2 comes out in the Matt Reeves universe with Robert Pattinson. So we're going to get a Superman movie and a Batman movie in the same year, even though technically they're not meant to be connected. But because of the official preview artwork of it that James Gunn shared, it confirms a lot of theories about what the actual villain of the movie is going to be. It now does seem like it's going to be Superman and Lex Luthor in his power suit from the comics, teaming up against Brainiac. David Corenswet, Nicholas Hoult, all the other big DC actors from the Superman movie, and other people too like Grant Gustin, The Flash, were also reacting to the official announcement, so we'll break it all down, because there was some separate evidence that Brainiac would be the next big villain of whatever Superman 2 was going to be. We didn't know it was going to be titled Man of Tomorrow. Now this is just the confirmation. Just because the movie is coming out so close to the Batman 2 with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson, I don't expect to see full-on Batman show up during Man of Tomorrow, but maybe more Gotham City, more Batman teasers in the background. There's a lot to unpack here, just because of the official artwork that James Gunn did reveal, basically the official preview before their first real big trailer. There were so many people asking James Gunn during the first Superman movie if Lex was going to wear a power suit. Now this just confirms, yeah, he's going to be in that power suit pretty soon. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. If you didn't see the news, you have no idea what's going on. As of this morning, me posting this video, James Gunn formally announced that Man of Tomorrow would be the next big Superman movie. Previously, he said it wouldn't be a normal type of sequel, like just Superman in a smaller movie. It'd actually be a bigger crossover super family type of movie. So it just raised all kinds of theories about who would be in the movie, like Supergirl going to be teaming up with Superman if they were calling it a super family movie. At the time, there weren't a whole lot of theories about Lex Luthor's role in the movie. This just confirms that he's going to be a main character again, but not going to be a straight-up villain, just like he was in the first movie. You remember at the end of the movie, he was sent to Belle Reve Prison and he's chilling out there, so it sounds like they're also borrowing a little bit from All-Star Superman again, like he borrowed from All-Star Superman for the first movie. There are a number of scenes during that original story and during the movie that they did based on that story where you see Lex Luthor just chilling out in prison, not worried or bothered at all because of all the plans he's making. There's a lot of Superman going to prison as Clark Kent to interview him.
What would you do if you had his powers?
Help people?
You probably would.
Now, the reason in that story why he gets out of prison and what he does when he gets out of prison is very different. Obviously, it's going to be different for the Man of Tomorrow movie that James Gunn is doing, making it seem like they actually team up against Brainiac. But it seems like what they're teasing is that the threat of Brainiac and what else is happening in the movie is just too much for Superman to deal with himself, so they turn to Lex Luthor for some solutions, but he's still chilling out in prison. This is probably one of the ways that Lex Luthor wins back the public and gets them to like him again, because remember, everybody hates him, everybody's turned on him at the end of the first Superman movie because of all the shady stuff he did, but this provides a really big opportunity for him to be a hero in the world's eyes and win them back. If you think about it, Lex Luthor would also want to get his hands on some of Brainiac's tech as well too, because it's so much more advanced than Superman's Kryptonian tech. This is also a really good reason for the engineer to come back because she can interface with technology. What's going to happen if she tries to interface with Brainiac's technology? The actual artwork that he released here is actually based on stuff that Jim Lee and Mitch Gerads did separately. Notice that their comic book accurate looks like he's wearing his comic book accurate Superman suit from the movie, but it's also based on a lot of the classic art of Superman and Lex Luthor in his power suit from the comics. Like, the power suit is not a new thing. It just looks like the one that Jim Lee and Mitch Gerads drew in this picture because Superman's costume is movie accurate, is also designed to be more what it'll look like in the actual movie itself, Man of Tomorrow. There's still a lot of time before the movie comes out, so they're probably still in the stages where they're doing pre-production and developing what everything is going to look like, all the new gear and Brainiac's gear. That's still one of the big questions, what the new version of movie Brainiac is going to look like in the DCU. There have been a number of attempts at Brainiac in the animated movies, in the live-action TV shows before too, like Smallville did a version of Brainiac. Krypton probably did the biggest version of live-action Brainiac that we've seen on screen so far. And obviously, most people think of Injustice 2 Brainiac, just because he's so big during that story. One of the reasons people thought that Brainiac was going to be the main villain a while ago was because there were some behind-the-scenes featurettes for the first Superman movie where James Gunn was talking at length about his big super family team-up movie, like his next big team-up movie, and there was a lot of Brainiac artwork in those behind-the-scenes. So now everybody is wondering if this is confirmation that Brainiac is going to be the main villain of this next big Superman movie. Just seems like a really easy slam dunk.
As a kid, I was really attracted especially to the Superman family comics, with Superman and Supergirl and Krypto and the whole gang.
There's a bunch to unpack here because he also talks a lot about Batman and being in Batman Brave and the Bold. People are wondering, is he talking about Batman 2 with Robert Pattinson, or are they talking about Batman Brave and the Bold? We will dig into that later in the video too.
See you for the next one.
But one of the funny things is that when they actually filmed this behind-the-scenes featurette where they're actually talking about the next big movie, like David Corenswet's talking about, see you in the next one, see you in the Batman movie, James Gunn is talking about doing the Super Family Team-Up movie with Superman in it. They actually filmed most of this stuff back when they were actually filming the Superman movie because this is all on the sets for the Superman movie. They used it in some of the early trailers, not all the early trailers, but there are a couple of scenes that look familiar to those early trailers. So it actually means that James Gunn was planning on doing this Super Family Team-Up movie, possibly using Brainiac as the villain, many, many months ago. Like, this wasn't a recent thing. He actually explained that when he was writing the Superman movie, originally Brainiac was going to be one of the main villains, if not the main villain. It sounds like at a certain point he just felt like the movie got too big and decided to refocus on Lex Luthor as the actual main villain of the movie because he had all this stuff with Ultraman going on and all this stuff with the Justice Gang. So there's just too much stuff to juggle to also then try to do Brainiac's origin story and include all that stuff. There'd also probably be more crossover characters like Justice Gang characters coming back for this Super Family crossover movie. If they're going to do Brainiac as a big villain, it would make sense that you include more of the big metahuman heroes. Yet another opportunity for James Gunn to bring his friends back in movies and give them awful haircuts again. When Henry Cavill was still Superman and they were still planning on doing Man of Steel 2, Brainiac was supposed to be the main villain of that for a while, but there were a couple different versions and a couple different directors that came onto the project that had different pitches for different types of stories. So it just sounds like a lot of different directors, James Gunn, Zack Snyder, other directors, have had ideas for using Brainiac as a big movie villain for Superman, but various things along the way came along to prevent that from happening, particularly in Henry Cavill's case, and now we just come to James Gunn trying to do his version of that. One of the other big reasons to use Brainiac as a team-up villain for Superman and Supergirl is because he's such a big part of her origin story as well, too. A lot of you play the Injustice 2 game. He's literally the intro to that game, with her actually being on Krypton when Brainiac comes to try and bottle it up and take it. So it's a little bit different because she's from Argo City in the comics, and she's going to be from Argo City in the movies, but you kind of get the idea. Brainiac has a long history with Kryptonians, and Supergirl knows all about him, whereas Superman does not, because his pod came to Earth before all that was going down. There have been a lot of different reboots of DC's continuity in their backstories for a lot of the characters, particularly for Brainiac, but the big story that people mostly point to when they talk about Superman versus Brainiac is Superman, Brainiac, in the new Krypton story, which could actually pay off some of the things that happened during the first Superman movie in the reason why Lex Luthor was trying to turn the world against Superman, because he was so worried about Superman's message from Jor-El and Lara about taking over the planet, creating a new Krypton on Earth. All those jokes about the super harem. James Gunn also revealed that the message from Jor-El was authentic. Lex Luthor didn't doctor it in any way. He said all the things that he says in the message when they broadcast it around the world. The idea is that Superman was wrestling with his legacy in the movie. He thought that he was an angel as a little kid, like, oh, I'm an angel come to Earth to help everyone, when really he finds out later in the movie that technically he was more like a demon come to Earth. This is actually the reason why the movie was initially titled Superman Legacy, because Superman was wrestling with his legacy during the movie. There are a lot of questions that they were going to follow up on that plot, like are they going to do any of the Mr. Oz storyline? Will Jor-El actually be more of a villain in this DCU of James Gunn's as it develops? But the way that James Gunn talked about it is Superman actually reckoned with the message as fully as you could reckon with it by the end of this first Superman movie. So it doesn't actually sound like the sequel movie is going to dig too much deeper into him thinking about the message itself, but some of the consequences of the message can still continue to manifest in different ways in the story. Based on the progression right now, at the end of the Superman movie, Supergirl shows up to pick up Krypto. She's still drunk. That was a teaser for the Supergirl movie based on the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, where she goes to another system with a red sun where she's capable of getting drunk because of the way their powers work. Probably the other big teaser that they have for that is Jason Momoa coming back as Lobo during the movie. He was not in the original comic book, Woman of Tomorrow, that they're actually basing this on. They're basically slotting him in, and it sounds like the main villain will hire him instead of just random mercenaries because he's so effective against Kryptonians. He's been one of the characters in the past that they've shown has gone toe-to-toe with Superman. It is totally possible that he also shows up in this super family movie, Superman 2, whatever they wind up calling it, whatever the subtitle is.
In the office, and I was just like, well, do you know who you're going to play? And I'm like, yeah, Lobo. Yeah. Of course, he's the only one that can fight Batman and Superman.
But it actually sounds like what's going to happen is after her movie, she returns to Earth because they did cast human parents for her. It sounds like they're going to be human parents. They didn't clarify that. They could be her parents from Argo City. So it just sounds like she defeats the villain of her movie, then makes her way back to planet Earth with Krypto. Then all of a sudden, Brainiac shows up on planet Earth to bottle it up. There are multiple moments like that along the way that they can actually tease Brainiac picking up on. Like, he could pick up some of the signals coming from Earth, and that could alert him to come and check out what's going on.
The Kryptonians are incapacitated. Complete the extraction.
It's still pretty early days. There's a lot he hasn't revealed about which other new characters he's going to introduce that we haven't seen before. So just wide open for theory crafting. Everybody let me know which other people you want to see show up during this. The other really big reminder is that we're in the middle of Peacemaker Season 2 episodes. There's probably going to be a bunch more Superman crossover during that. I'm doing episode videos week to week. My episode 3 video will post later this week. Everybody click here for all those Peacemaker episodes, and click here for all my Superman Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.